Okay, we're live. Let me wait till this thing actually jumps up. There it goes, right there. All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, wherever you're at in the world. Donovan Sadiq. I am back after 2 days of jury duty. As you guys see, the title of my video is The Importance of Jury Duty and the Numbers. Now, once I got dismissed, I didn't get seated. I didn't get selected. I got put into a jury pool. Some of you guys that have been to jury duty, you guys kind of know how it works. Different jurisdictions have different ways of doing it. I remember back in the day when I first became a adult and I got called for jury duty here in Riverside County. You used to you were on call for the month or something like that. It was like 2 weeks or something like that. You're on call. So you could be selected for multiple jury duties back in the day. But I guess now they have so much of a population. A little bit of the differences. The funny thing is, as I'm sitting there watching them seat the jury and they're asking the questions, and you got to ask them how long you've been in the county, whatever they were asking. I noticed a lot of people are fairly new to Riverside County, right? They've been here 4 years, 2 years, 10 years, that's fairly new. There's a few of us that have been here for 47 years. I've been in Riverside County for 47 years. Something like that, 40-something years. There's like 2 or 3 of us that had like been here for a long time. But a majority of the people were all LA, Orange County implants. And again, the gentrification of LA, of how expensive it is, how people are moving farther east to afford to live. This is very, very troubling, right? Because when a group of people move into a newer area and that group brings their culture and their way of life to it. I was raised on when in Rome, do as the Romans. And sometimes I'll be sitting in traffic and I'll look at the car's license plates and you can see they're from Alhambra, they're from Long Beach, they're from, Los Angeles, they're from, Pomona. Well, Pomona's kind of part of the Inland Empire. Not really, but it is. But, Orange County, Fullerton, these people are just moving more inward, right? And, it's just, I just sit and I just observe things. I was number 48 out of 75. They got up to 33. So I didn't get selected. I was dismissed until next year. Great. But here's the importance of it, okay? Domestic violence situation. Young black man is on trial. 6 black people out of 75 of us. There's only 6 black people. Okay. Now, statistically, let me just do the math here just to see if I'm right. Okay, wait. Let's see. So, what would that be? 6 divided by 75. It's 0.8. 0.08. So 75 divided by 6. 12.5. 12.5. So 12.5% of our pool was, that can't be right. Yeah, 10% would be 7, something like that. So, this poor black man is sitting there, and I'm looking at the numbers, and that doesn't look good. What's crazy is I look at and I'm only talking about my community, okay? My community, my experience. I look at people who, for whatever reasons, you have no job, you're on government assistance, you're not busy, is what I'm basically saying. and they will not show up for jury duty. This is how important jury duty is, especially for people in my community. We are only 14% of the population. Now, according to what I just did there, it's close to the population, even though the population is BS. We know it's higher. These are the same people that when a loved one is arrested, just because you're arrested doesn't mean you did anything, okay? It's just an allegation of an arrest at an investigation at a lower level. Doesn't mean it's true. When a loved one is being arrested, we show up and we show out. Right? Now that loved one has to go through the legal process, and it could take some time and it could take some money. The best way, and I tell people this all the time, the best way is if you can afford an attorney, do so. Public defenders, they do the best that they can, but because of their caseloads, they try to plead, and a good portion of our justice system is based on plea deals. Because if we had to go by, you know, just everybody getting a lawyer and going to trial, there'd be no way the legal system could handle that. So a good part of our legal system is plea bargains and agreements. But I will tell people, if you can afford a lawyer, you have a better outcome than if you didn't have a lawyer. And I know some people get a lawyer and they still do plea deals. That's perfectly fine too. But most likely, in a lot of cases, the plea deal is more, you know, in your favor. You know, it's a little bit better for you. So, you know, we argue about so-and-so getting arrested, whatever the deal is. And in a lot of cases, and it has been proven, there is a disparity when it comes to black versus everybody else. Some people can say brown, you know, Hispanics, but I'm not talking about Hispanics. I'm talking about my community. Black. I don't say African American. I say black. I'm a black American. Okay? And I use black as an adjective, describing something incidental about me. When I see a white man, he could be German, he could be Italian, he could be British, you know, of that descent, doesn't matter to me. I just describe him as a white man. If I see an Asian man, he could be Vietnamese, Japanese, Korean, whatever. I just use it as an adjective, right? So anyway. But I'm sitting in the court system, you know, and I love the court system. I love the Matlock with Andy Griffith. These remakes and changing the sexes. Anyway, don't get me started on that. That's another show. So we get upset. Our loved one goes through the system. And then we get to trial. We're going to trial. The person is innocent until proven guilty in this country. And unfortunately, when you're a black person, you're guilty until you can prove your innocence in a lot of situations. Well, I believe in a lot of situations because I've been in juries and it was obvious. They already had their minds made up, right? Be it on stereotype. But I'm looking at the jury pool and I'm sitting there. 75 people, only 6 of us are black. Now, out of that 6, statistically, how many black people are actually going to sit on that jury? Because according to the Constitution, you're supposed to be judged by a jury of your peers. Now, nothing against Hispanic people, nothing against Asian people, nothing against white people. But how is an Asian person my peer? We don't have the same culture. We don't have the same value systems. Hispanic, we might live close in proximity of, you know, of each other, but we don't have the same culture. We don't have the same value system. That's not my peer. White person's definitely not my peer. Okay, we are totally opposite. So the justice system has to go on regardless. You've got to have this trial. You've got to do this thing. In this particular case I was on, they had to do the jury selection today or it times out. and the person walks free, whatever the deal is. And so that shows you the necessity of the justice system to get a black man on trial on time and get it done. So if he wasn't, if a jury pool wasn't seated by Friday, he's walking, right? Domestic violence, I don't know the particulars of the case, but I'm sitting there and I'm looking. Statistically, out of 6 black people, according to the mathematics, the chances of all 6 of those black people being seated is less than 1%. Now, a good defense lawyer would want all of those black jurors seated, just like in the OJ trial. OJ had 9 black people seated. I believe most of them were women. I think there was 2 Hispanics and 3 whites. In California, I think it's 12. The jury is 12. So I'm just looking at this thing and I'm like, man, this isn't right. Just looking at it, it's not right. And why I'm saying this, and I'm not saying that the people will not be fair. That isn't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, how is that his peers? Different cultures, different experiences, different way they view things. You see what I'm saying? Like me, if as I view a white person, I view a white person very cautiously by the way I was raised because of their history. So I already have a bias in my head when it comes to white people. Another bias that I have is white people have generational wealth. They come from money, whatever. See what I'm saying? The biases. And you got to be real with yourself when you sit on these juries and you go on these juries. So my question is, how can this black man get a fair trial if he doesn't have a jury of his peers? I believe they ended up seating two black people out of the 6. 2. Hopefully, he gets a hung jury. But my point isn't about fairness or this, that, because that's not the issue. The issue for me is we do everything we can. I'm talking about my community. From my opinion, we do everything we can to avoid jury duty. When as black people, we should be showing up. Just like y'all showed up for Kamala, why aren't we showing up for jury duty? Local elections matter. Why do they matter? Because you elect your local district attorney. You elect the local judges. This is why we got to talk about politics more and understand where we are at in our politics. We could talk about Tiffany Henyard, the mayor, super mayor up in Dalton, Illinois, in a town that is 90-something% black. Do you see how she ran that town in regards to the people that occupy that town? I mean, she did very, very bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the culture of her people and the people that live in that town, it's a better understanding of it. Do you see what I'm saying? You see how she was talking like she's out street and she's this. A better example, Jasmine Crockett. She comes from privilege, but yet to garner black support, she's doing the Sister Girl Act. Okay? So I just want to just tell my people, it's very important that we show up for jury duty. Very important. Because I looked at that guy didn't have a chance. He didn't have a chance. Looking at what you saw, he didn't have a chance. And I'm praying that it's a hung jury or whatever. And I'm going to show you how crazy it was. I'm going to show you how crazy it was. There was a juror, and he was seated. He was seated. He was more worried about a business trip that he has to go on next week than a person whose freedom may be in jeopardy. He was a Hispanic man. Didn't care that this man might lose his freedom. He's worried about his business trip that he needs to go on next week. You guys see what I'm talking about? That man should never have been seated, in my opinion. But they seated him. And the judge says, oh, well, we got alternates. We'll get alternates. And if that does come up, we'll make sure you go on your trip. How can this man be fair and judge the evidence fairly and the witnesses fairly, and his mind is worried about a trip? He's not worried about a human being's freedom being locked up for I don't know how many years. This is why it's important to show up for jury duty. I know it's an inconvenience, and in California, your employer doesn't have to pay you for jury duty. So I get it, but they can't stop you from going. They can't fire you from going, but they don't have to pay you. From what I hear, is the rule or the law in California. Democratic state, right? But it's important that we go to jury duty because we're not being judged by our peers. We're not. We are not being judged by our peers. The majority of people that should be occupying that box when a black man is on trial should be black people. So if there's it's 12 jurors, there should be at least seven black people seated to judge that person with one alternate. Of the two alternates, you get two alternates, so one of the two should be black. If an Asian man is sitting there, 7 Asians should be sitting in that box. Hispanic, 7. White, 7. But unfortunately, we don't show up. We have all these BS excuses of why we can't do it. Oh, I got to do, and I understand people can't afford to miss work. I understand that. But is your job really that important to a person's possibly life being put on death row and being killed? You don't have faith in God enough to say, you know what, I'm going to be okay, Isn't it more important than somebody's freedom? If your loved one was being accused of a crime, wouldn't you want the best person to be on that jury to make a good call? It's just, you guys, it's just so important. We have to be more politically involved. All of this stuff is connected. When Ray Ray and Pookie and whatever else, all you single mothers out there, this is the problem. You ain't doing nothing but sitting on your ass in a lot of situations. Not all you single mom, that don't get me wrong. I'm going with the stereotype. Go to jury duty. Go to jury duty. It can be the difference between this person being convicted. Do you guys realize here in California, you've got people that are still in prison for a marijuana conviction in the 90s? The system is fair if we show up. The connection, the district attorney. Look at the district attorney in San Francisco that just got booted out. She wasn't convicting anybody. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, I know that's a bad example of a district attorney, but this is what I mean if you want fundamental change in your community and different outcomes. Now, that lady went to the extreme. She wasn't convicting anybody on anything. There was an Asian child, I believe, up there that was shot by gang members in a car in traffic or something like that. She did not pursue the death penalty or something in that case and stuff, and she was rightly removed. But local politics matter. Your city council, your planning commission, your district attorney, your judges. matters, you guys. And we sit here and we keep worrying about another group of people to be fair to us. Why can't we be fair to ourselves? I was very concerned about that case. And then, you know, I kind of like law. People tell me I should be a lawyer because I have good recall. And I'm thinking about doing it. I don't know. Just bide my time in doing it. But when I got dismissed, I went and sat. And you guys, here's another thing. You can sit in these cases that are going on live, you know. I always tell people, especially young men, ladies, gentlemen, take your young sons for one day to family court and sit them down in that family court and show them what the injustice system will do to them. For 2 minutes, according to Demetra Kay, 15 minutes of pleasure, here's the lifetime of pain because you made a poor decision. We got to do better. I'm just saying. All of this stuff ties together. All of it. It all ties to political connections. So anyway, you guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to do a video later on in regards on YouTube in regards to this. I just something about that is on my mind. I also want to say I'm glad everybody's calming down and now people are out of their emotions, a lot of people, and they're starting to use their logic, and you know, the truth is coming out about a lot of things in regards to the Democrats and all this other stuff. But isn't that funny how Chuck Schumer's like, I'm the best guy possible for the Senate to lead the Senate, this is that. You see what I'm saying? It's all political theater. Yeah, Uncle Matt, what's going on? I can vouch for the pain. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of people that are getting convicted wrongly. They're getting wrongly convicted. And in some cases, people are being punished, rightly so, but they're being punished excessively. You know, people are there, do the crime. Okay, you stole an ice cream. You get life in prison? Oh, hell no. Let's be reasonable. But we need more of us showing up at these for jury duty. And if they end up throwing out a bunch of us, you know, for whatever, the numbers are going to show that. And they're going to have to explain that. You know? But again, I'm not trying to be on my high horse. I too, when I was younger, didn't want to go to jury duty. I was too busy. Now that I think about it, what the hell was I too busy doing? Bullshit. You know what I mean? So, and I wasn't concerned. You're never concerned until a loved one or somebody that you care about gets in the situation. Okay, we as black people in general, 70% of us, we don't have the money as these other groups have, right? We have it, but we waste it. Let me just say it that way. We have the money, but we waste the money, right? So now we can't secure a lawyer. The system is built with mechanisms to deal with the fact you can't afford a lawyer. So what is that mechanism? Stack the jury with your peers that understand your situation. Well, good example. I'm a car thief and I stole your radio. And the jury is mostly black, majority black. And I say, look, I know it was wrong for me to steal the radio, but I had to feed my children. So I had to go and do what I have to do. I've been looking for work. I can't find work. This, I can tell you all the real reasons of it. And a lot of that is in our community right now, right? Now, testifying and knowing that that's the situation, and I'm talking to you, you would understand a little bit better. Yes, I did wrong. I admitted I did wrong. Hey, this is why I did this, whatever. Hey, we believe he's guilty. However, circumstantial situations Let's give him probation, blah, 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 not guilty. See, if I had my way, I would say a lot of things, people are not guilty because of the way the political system is. I would say, well, yes, the person had to survive. It isn't like, oh, I was getting the thing and I'm going to go, buy me some new Jordans. No, he's trying to feed his children. Everybody could understand that. He was facing eviction, and so he was forced to do this. Or like a lot of women, they're selling WAP, right? Nobody comes down on women for selling WAP 3 blocks from your house. They're walking right by the school. Nobody comes down on them. She had to do what she had to do. We understand. We all understand these things. But that's the mechanism if you can't afford a lawyer. Yeah, you got a public defender, but see how I found the justice system, if you do it right, it's more toward the accused if it's done right, right? So if I can stack the jury, if I can vote the district attorney, right? So let's say the district attorney's a brother, like me. Yeah, this guy stole a thing. I'm not charging this man for a damn ice cream cone. A nonviolent offense? I'm not charging that man for a nonviolent offense. Yeah, give him probation, whatever. I'm not going to waste our time. We're not even going to call the jury, So I just wish more of us would know how that system is. We wait. Black people are the most reactive people, and we go by our feelings because the matriarchy is so fucking strong in our community. We're the only community where the matriarchy is as strong as it is. But there's mechanisms, and if we would just participate and understand how it works. I vote in the DA. I vote in the judge. So now the deck is in my favor, my people's favor. You know what I'm saying? So just want to say that real quick. Yeah, the justice system is something, man. A lot of people have been wrongly convicted. A lot of people have been extremely convicted. And it's sad. How is it that we are, according to the census, 14% of the population, which doesn't make sense because we were 14 and 13% of the population in the 1960s. So basically, our population has not grown, or there is a mass genocide initiated by the government to keep black people at a certain number. And I'm talking about FBAs. I'm talking about descendant of slaves, not these people who've come here from the Caribbean and all this other stuff. But even the people that have immigrated here and identify as black, the census still says we're about 14%. How come nobody questions that? And the reason they do that is the resources. It's the federal resources that go to certain groups. If your group is small, you get the smallest percentage of resources. You don't get the largest, you get the smallest thing. As we know, white people get the most resources when it comes from our taxes. So, yeah, you guys, we have to get more involved. We have to break the cycle. We need to get our children involved into the legal system other than being defendants or being victims. We need to understand the law better. We need to understand our rights. How are you living in a country and you really don't understand your rights? You understand them when you get in trouble, though. That's when you understand them. But even, it's crazy because even when you are victimized as, from of a crime, you're a victim of a crime, most people still don't go and research their rights. They leave it to somebody else to tell them what they can do and what they can't do. If you have money and you're going to get a lawyer, you better research what that lawyer is telling you because there might be other avenues that lawyer can pursue. He's going to come up with a strategy, but it might not be the strategy that you want. Well, hey, I'm going to plea deal this. No, take it to trial. Take it to trial. You got nothing to lose. Well, you got something to lose. But why would I take a 5-year prison term if I can get the same 5-year prison term if the deck is stacked in my favor, you know, ahead of time, if we know what we're doing? This is why I believe that they come to us with these unbelievable, unbelievable plea deals that we do not understand and we really don't know the repercussions of, because the deck is stacked against us in the jury pool. Well, how many times have we heard this? Well, if you take this to trial, the chances of you, being convicted is great. Why is it great? Because there are not enough black people on the damn jury pool. Don't get me started. So anyway, you guys, I'm gonna go get some lunch. Got to go grab some stuff. My dog Benny, he technically should be dead. This dog chewed through a bunch of wires on my AC system, which I'm gonna have to replace. Let me show you. I cordoned that area off. This dog put himself between the wall of the house and where the AC unit sits and forced his way through that little area in order to eat the wires because he was super bored. I was at jury duty, and when I'm gone an extended period of time, he has nothing to do. And pit bulls, they just get into stuff because they're just bored and they just start getting into stuff. So I'm glad I didn't come home and found him sprawled out, dead from eating electrical wire or something like that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, this dog is tossing me money. But he'll get it. He's still a puppy. I got to be patient. Like, God, Lord, I got to be patient. But again, I'm glad a lot of people are chilling out and they're calming themselves and getting out of their feelings. And they're seeing what the Democrats are really about now. They are really seeing what the Democrats are about. How do we support a party that supported slavery and was founded on the fundamental fact that black people are inferior and should be no more than slaves? That is still their mantra today. Classic case of Stockholm Syndrome. Classic case. I left the Democratic Party in 2016. So I was a Democrat most of my adult life. I'm an independent. I believe everybody should be independent. That way, these two major parties, have to fight for your vote. What's in your interest is not in my interest, and vice versa. There are some things I like about the Republicans. Like I said, I'm for family values. I'm not with the gay agenda, so I have to lean more right and conservative, right? You may be for the gay agenda, whatever, so you're going to lean more left. God bless you and more power to you. But my point is, as a black person, we shouldn't be giving our allegiance to not either of these two parties. We owe our allegiance to none of these parties. We should be independent. So thank you guys for the messages that apologized for some of the things you guys were saying, for admitting you were wrong. What you guys are experiencing now is what I experienced in 2016. The realization that this party will not do one damn thing for black people. That's it. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here and quit boring you guys and stuff. Uncle Matt, good seeing you. Come check out my channel more often. Got a lot of great stuff up here, mostly on YouTube if you get a chance, but I come on here from time to time and kind of rattle people's cages a little bit. So, yeah. Uncle Matt. Only like 5 or 6 years older than me. I told you guys I come from big family. I come from a very, very big family. My other 2 uncles are 3 days older than me. So my mom's youngest brothers are my age. So you guys, if I told you guys about my family, it would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. So back in the day, people had big families. That's just how it was, And, of course now people can't afford to have big families. But my mom is the oldest of 12. And so Uncle Matt, he would be, I think, 6 years older than me. You're about 6 years, 7 years older than me. and Uncle Matt in the summertime, we would ride bikes, do go-karts. I mean, all kinds of fun stuff. You know, it was. I had a great childhood. I cannot complain. My grandmother, my mom's mom, taught me how to ride a bike. Uh, we wrestled. We did all kinds of stuff in Louisiana. It was great. So I can't complain. I really look back on those days very fondly. And now that we're old and my brother and I, we're the oldest grandchildren on both sides of our families. So, but on my mom's side of the family, there's a lot of girls. There's a lot of girls. There's a lot of girls being born on that side of the family. So, a lot of great stuff. So, you guys stay blessed, be blessed, and I will talk to you guys mañana. Work on your Spanish because that is the dominant language in the United States. So, the dominant culture is now starting to take over, especially now that they've let in about 22 million Latin people in less than 4 years. How do black people compete with that? If you let between 11 and 22 million Latin people, somewhere in that number, that are Latin, and there are only 41 million people that identify themselves as black in the United States as a whole, how do you compete with that? You can't have enough sex in 5 years to duplicate those numbers. You guys got to pay attention. Mañana.